and welcome to this edition of the Time with Hime podcast. I'm your host, Lynn Cordes, joined by our superintendent, Mr. Hime. Hello.
Hello. Spring break is here.
It's happening. I am so excited. It's our Friday before the big break, and hopefully this weather will clean itself up, and we have a beautiful week next week.
Well, spring break always brings a little rain, but the forecast I'm seeing is maybe something for the weekend, but by Monday it's going to clear up, and hopefully our students and staff get a spring break where they can get out and about. I know we just came off of some time off with some virtual days because of weather.
That wasn't fun. That wasn't fun.
Cooped up inside the house with it -10 outside is not a break. That's work. So hopefully this gives everybody a little bit of mental break that they need and deserve, and we get ready to come back and make that final downhill push to get to the end of the year. Who would have thought back in August with all that was going on? What a shout out to our staff.
Yes. We've done a lot. Remember now, this time last year, we were getting ready to head into spring break, not knowing that we weren't going to return.
Yeah, I'll tell everyone I moved here officially. Moved into the house I'm living in on March 13th. So that was a Friday before spring break. We moved down here to start the transition a little bit more, to be here more and start transitioning out at the former job. And it hit at that time. And so that year's coming up on us, but exciting.
It is, and we have some great things to talk about a year later, even going down to some of the things I want to get into today, which are, the mission and vision of the district and where we're heading. Do you want to share some of that?
Well, one thing, and to kind of paraphrase so you don't get too wordy with it, we want to expand learning opportunities, and we say quality learning opportunities for all of our students, pre-K through 12. And then there's another challenge we put out to our counselors in our secondary is, first of all, we want 100% graduation, and all means all. But then the other side of that is every student who walks across a stage, as their senior year at Lawton Public Schools, they should have some college hours or some AP classes or something that's college preparatory so they're prepared to move to that stage, or they should have a career tech skill or some kind of skill they got through our Life Ready Center or through Career Tech that prepares them to move forward in life or be prepared to go to the military. And the hope is that we present those opportunities to our students and they find areas of interest, and so when they graduate, they are ready for the next step of their life.
And what's been exciting the last few weeks is to hear what's going on in the LRC, Life Ready Center, but also what we're doing with the elementary schools in the maker spaces and then the high school curriculum coming down into the middle school.
Yeah, it's just a shout out to our community. The maker spaces, we came up with that idea. The foundation jumped on really quick with a big grant to help with it. And the goal is to not only put a maker space in every elementary, because we have some semblances of maker spaces in some places, but every elementary school will have a maker space, but also staff it with somebody to keep it running formally. We want our students to have access to the makerspace, similar to library time, for a 30, 45-minute period of time every day. Every day. Teachers will love that. Every week or once a week, where they can get into that creativity and they can start finding interest. For those who don't know, again, a makerspace is a STEM lab, or it's just a lab with a lot of creative centers in it where students can be creative. They may have Legos, Tinker Toys. It'll have some art projects. Robots will be in there. And then you get into the Autobots and the electric nodes where they can start understanding how electricity works. There's just a lot to it, so it's exciting for them. The middle school thing is pushing those classes down is going to give the kids a lot of flexibility when they go to high school for the learning center. Also, so the other thing we're going to do for the middle school is when we talk about career tech, we don't really give enough introduction to the different career tech fields a student can go to, so they don't know their interest level. So we're going to try to create a various units of introductory career tech fields so our students can start getting some introductions 7th grade up. So 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, if we can introduce them to anywhere from 8 to 10 to 12 career tech fields, they're better prepared to make that choice their junior year when they get to go to the Great Plains Career Tech Center.
And that's almost going into our next discussion of the TAP Center, or the TAP program.
Yes.
So what do you want to share with that?
Well, and to back up a little bit, we got to make sure that Great Plains is free to high school students. Also, concurrent enrollment is free to high school and students. We're really working hard. Again, we've had some donations from the foundation and other organizations to help pay for fees and books and such, and then tuition is free. So we're trying to provide this at no cost to the students to give them these opportunities. Now, moving, like we said, the TAP Center, again, it will be a unit within our schools. Some of them may locate off campus, the location of how we do that there, where students will get kind of a introduction into different career track programs starting in the 7th grade. And we call it TAP for technical application programs. But the bottom line is it's a way to give, when you start pushing classes down, you're working on the college. The students that are college bound or thinking college or higher academic degrees, you're not working on the students who are thinking they might want to be in a skill level. And the other side is if you do that in middle school, they have lots of time to switch. We're never going to say you're locked in. I think that's a fear people, well, you took a TAP program in 7th grade, you're career tech, you're not going to college, and that's absolutely not true. So
I think part of that too is just exposing our students to different options out there early enough, and who knows what they'll stick with when they get into high school. I remember reading that article of the student who just was exposed to plumbing and was able to take care of her household, during the frigid temperatures.
Oh yes, and during that time, heat and air person, pretty valuable. It might have been harder to find somebody to work on your heater than it was to find a lawyer. Same way with a plumber. People a lot of times say, well, it's a lot easier to find a attorney today to do work for you than it is a plumber to do work for you. So there's a lot of fields. I have a brother that's a welder that does really well and has done really well for himself. A lot of people do well in those technical fields, and we want students to be prepared. Life is long and work is tough. You need to do something you enjoy. And the more opportunities we get you to explore different fields, the more you can decide what your interest level is.
And when we're going into talking about what looks like next year, I know there has been some feedback that families weren't sure about the virtual program. Will you just kind of share our expectations, because it's not going away?
No, we know we're going to still need virtual. What we do need is make sure you're contacting if you are virtual. If you're not virtual and you think you want to go virtual, make sure we know so we can get accurate numbers. The struggle we have is when we're staffing any program we staff it based upon the number of students. We never want to staff it and then take students. We want to, so the more students who choose an option, we'll add staff to it. So the quicker you let us know, the easier it is for us to plan. So that's the kind of the expectation there. But we're going to continue our virtual. If the need is there, we'll continue some PM virtual. And hopefully we're going to get better at it. We have that discussion about what are our virtual, just like we're having virtual Fridays now, what are our expectations? How do we get better at what we're doing? And that's a challenge we have every day. And hopefully our virtual continues to improve this year, next year, and over the years, where the quality just continues to get better.
And for our virtual families right now, if you do plan on coming back, please reach out to your student's teacher and let them know so that we can plan accordingly.
Yes.
And so speaking of virtual, we'll move into kind of expectations for summer school, because we are on that downhill trek for the school year. What does that look like?
Well, and again, summer school, we've opened it up. Your building principal and the staff, they should be able to tell you what their opportunities are. We've said, once again, we're hoping that a lot of students who need it will sign up, and parents will sign up. We know parents are tired of sending their kids to school for fear of, the COVID and such, and hopefully we're even closer to being all vaccinated and ready to go when we get to summer. Our ultimate goal is every student who wants and needs summer school, we provide it for them. So that's the challenge we have right now, and I know they're working really hard at the elementaries and the high schools of having some at sites, combining some. The high schools have talked about, how much they'll have at each site, or they'll have it at one site, and they're just looking at enrollment right now. So again, the quicker you let us know you're interested in summer school for whatever reason, the easier it is for us to staff it and create a location that may be closer to you.
And those surveys are out there, so just reach out to your schools and ask them if you have not received it yet. But that's in the coming weeks, and then we'll have more details about summer school.
Yeah, some of that stuff, it's spring break. It's just crazy we're here.
It is.
But some of that stuff we're going to have to go, get really excited about, and I know people worry about schools and locations, but we're trying to get those numbers because, as we all know, Adams and Washington elementaries, the student counts were so low face-to-face when we started, so we're trying to get counts because if we have enough students, parents who want to attend those schools to open them, that's our intent, is to open them and have regular face-to-face. The challenge we have is we never want to close a building. we want to find a way to use it. So we're going to work to use our buildings for our students in whatever way we need to. So we got to get numbers in order to make those decisions.
And we talked about Edison a little bit. Let's talk about the update to the buildings due to the water damage and where we're at after spring break.
Yep, MacArthur Middle School, ready to go. We feel really good. It's close right now. Maybe next Tuesday or Wednesday we could have school, but hey,
it's spring break next week.
Spring break,
so.
I don't think anybody's going to want to come up there and get started early. So a week from Monday, it should be ready to go, everything back to normal, and we're excited about that. They're working really hard. They've moved some of the crews to Edison Elementary. That's a school that, we're really sure we'll have that ready to go, obviously, when we get back to school in August, but I don't think we'll ever switch back this year. And again, a shout out to the parents, the staff, the maintenance, the teachers, the students, and everybody, because that was ice storm, flooded, had to make a change buildings, everybody packed up. We got it done in 2 days. Just awesome. And, I don't ask for complaints, but I've not had any. Parents are just like stepping up to the plate, and that's a shout out to all of us in our community for pulling together in times of need, and we appreciate it.
I think that's something that the pandemic has given to us, is a little bit more grace and flexibility about what happens and as we go. So just working together and making things happen for our kids.
Yeah, and I think people listen. Appreciate. I think the pandemic had it where we listened. We try to get more knowledge before we make decisions to complain about things or brag on them. And again, our community supports education, supports our teachers, supports our students, and appreciate to it. Again, speaking of supporting, just another shout out to MacArthur. Boys and girls made the state basketball tournament. We're really excited about that. And as we roll into the weekend, shout out to them.
And we want to also share with our families about the meals. We're doing what we did for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So
yes, we have.
Give us an update.
You'll get 14 meals. You can pick them up at any of one of our sites that are middle schools now, which would be Tomlinson, Central, MacArthur, and Eisenhower, and then also Freedom. So there's 5 sites. You can pick up 14 meals. So we challenge you. I always like to say that I don't like to run out of food, but I do like to run out of food because it means it's working what we're doing. So please get up there and get some some food. That's for all students, and get your students that food for the week, because I know that snack times and things like that over the week will be difficult. Just a little extra there. So that's quality food for you, and it gives a little help to our again, as we're still in a pandemic and some people are still working through some of the adjustments they've had to make because of the pandemic. Hopefully this will help. And again, as the more and more this becomes, it challenges us to figure out how to keep this going even after the pandemic.
Water fountains that we were talking about earlier prior to this. We're just excited about that.
The pandemic has made things slow. One of the things, of course, was water fountains and how do you use them. So we tried to get bottle fillers, and we worked through it. And finally, we have them installed at every site. So we have brand new water fountains that are water bottle fillers at every one of our sites. So where some of them are getting adjusted and making sure they work properly and more secure, but every student should be able to fill up their bottle and get good, clean, pure water, because it is filtered water. It's really good water. So we're excited about that, because we need our students to drink more water. And, that was really tough when we quit using pandemics. We just felt like we didn't have enough available. And that was one of the things we had to work through, especially in the fall. And we're excited now that our students have access to good water. And,
your students can bring their empty water bottles and fill it up at the site. And I love, because I think there's hot water, too, available.
At some of them,
Some of them. That's right. Now, let's talk about the COVID update. And we're getting ready to have another virtual day for our second shot. So remind our families what that's
March 26th, the Friday after we come back, is our second shot for our teachers. And we're excited because, we took that first shot. We took a virtual day, and we got everyone who wanted a vaccine. And it really worked out good for us. The other thing, when you look at that, if you look at the studies, they say the first shot works a little bit. Well, it's worked really well for us. There's a lot of combinations out there. But our adult COVID has been almost zero all week. Our student numbers are way down. Obviously, when they take your second shot 10 days later, if you read the new CDCs, you don't have to quarantine unless you have symptoms. So, starting April 5th, our adult quarantines are going to be over. And that's just a game changer for us. It's just that one more big, giant step to getting back to normal. So we're really excited about it. And again, a shout out to the health department for working with us and our community. And again, we know virtual days are a little bit of struggle for some, but this makes it where we only lose instructional time on one day instead of numerous days trying to spread it out across the district and so forth.
And we did the Friday because we know that some second shots, they get a little
there have been
sick.
people who've reacted a little bit and not felt their best and 100% that day after. So this way we don't end up with, the worst thing if we did it on a Monday and we looked up and we had so many absent on Tuesday, we're calling it another day, then it gets struggled. But so yeah, please mark your calendars. I know that some of you, get your students covered, but please mark your calendar. March 26th is another virtual day for shots. And we talk about virtual days, and it's a great thing. We're learning. We hear some people say, well, I'm doing this. We have some teachers doing this, and we're doing it in different ways. But one thing we'll really work hard with our staff, our teachers, and our administrators is to look at what the expectations of that are and try to improve it for next year. We still think we do better than a lot of people with virtual days, but it's still new. I mean, this whole idea of taking a virtual day and having teachers virtually teach and online learning and have expectations of learning to take place is still a new concept for us. And so it's something we're working to improve every day. So I know I hear some parents say, my child got all these assignments, there's no way they can do it. Then I hear another parent say, my child didn't contact anybody, never knew anything. It was just another day out of school for them. So we know we got to get some balance there and making sure it's a consistent across the board, and there is learning, but the expectations aren't they have to do so much. There's no way they could get it done in a regular school day, but that they do have opportunities to learn on those days. So it is things we're working to get better. So please don't think as we continue to have virtual days in our calendar in the future and future years that we're going to continue to raise the expectations of how those look for our teachers and staff.
Another exciting moment, especially for our seniors, is graduation. What updates can you share about that?
Yes, all the graduations are there. We're going to do them outdoors at Cameron Stadium for the 3 high schools. And then the week before, Douglas is going to do theirs. Hopefully there'll be a flyer out pretty quick, and hopefully it's on your screen. And you can see the graduation dates and times and get them on your calendar. Very exciting. The plan is we think we got enough room in there to social distance. Very exciting that our students get to have a graduation this year.
Mr. Hime, what would you like to celebrate this week as we prepare to end for the spring break?
We're going to spring forward Saturday.
Oh, yes. Well, for me, Saturday, because, I'll forget when I go.
Well,
and I know it's Sunday morning.
Some of us have to remember when we had to set our clocks.
That's right.
Some of you younger people, it's all done for you. You don't, your watch, you wake up and your watch is reset because you got a smart watch, and all your phones are reset and all your clocks are.
But not your microwave or your stove, so you still have to do those.
So you got to do a few of them. So, yes, be sure to remember that you get to spring forward. So we get to daylight savings time. That brings in spring sports. Very exciting time when we come back from spring break. Get to go watch some baseball and softball, tennis, golf, track. And I'm sure I'm leaving something out, but just a lot
Well, we have cheer and dance tryouts happening soon. So
very quick. So
the videos are out on the website for those that are waiting.
Very excited. We had 3 students make academic All-State. I know that some other awards are coming out there, academic scholars and those top ACT scores and things like that. We're very excited about the academics we're accomplishing. So, again, great things happening at Lawton Public Schools.
I'm excited about all of them, and I can't wait to share them with our whole entire community.
Hey, we're not going to be here next week.
I know, but we'll be rested and relaxed, I hope, and beautiful weather. Cross your fingers, everybody.
So we'll be back on the 26th.
No, we'll be back on the 22nd.
No, we'll be back to our podcast.
Oh, yes.
Back to school on the 22nd. The next podcast.
Look, I was like, wait, I need to bring my kids back to school the 22nd.
Oh yeah, you have one. You have a MacArthur Middle School student that has been on the virtual because of the damage. You're ready to get her back to school, I'm sure.
I think it's the other way around. She's ready to get away from me.
And again, that's just a shout out. I've seen that with some of the parents. We have 2 or 3 parents in our office that have students at MacArthur Middle School, and it's been a struggle. And again, shout out to our parents for just working through that with us, because that was a difficult time for all of us. And you got to fix it right. You can't just cram the students back in there when it's not safe, and it's just a balance. And a shout out to the maintenance people and the workers for fast forwarding and getting this completed. So fingers crossed, it's ready to go Monday the 22nd. That's what I'm ready for. And you want to give our website for questions and concerns? Yep, info@lawtonps.org. And again, we love to answer questions on the podcast. We try to respond to all the emails. If you sent one and you haven't got a response, please send us another one. We'll forward it to somebody to respond, or we will respond ourselves, whoever's appropriate. So we appreciate your information. Sometimes we get some really good information. That's right. And thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for your time until, not next week, but the week after. We hope you guys have a wonderful, safe, and positive,
relaxation time for spring break.
Yep. Enjoy your spring break.
That's right. Until then, you guys, we'll see you later.
Yep.